At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to remind you of the 21st Annual Bike Drive, Ted Blankenheim's 21st Annual. As a matter of fact, a lot of donation locations and sponsors that you can drop off your bikes. New bikes is what they prefer, and you can drop them off unassembled, or if you're feeling a little handy and want to assemble it yourself and drop it off, they would certainly appreciate that help as well. So you have until December 24th to get those donations in. Take a look at this. Kind of interesting. You remember yesterday I was kind of talking about some of the fog, and I had Rowdy Kelly actually made a comment in the comment section about the fog. It was sunny skies in McKinleyville. I said, oh, you're on the coast, you should be looking at fog. But they're at a slightly higher elevation where he is, putting them above where that fog was, and there's an image of what it looked like yesterday morning. So that's out looking out towards the coast. You can see the fog coming on in, and of course looking at sunny skies out there in McKinleyville. We have got a regular. Lisa saying good morning, another foggy morning here. Have a terrific Thursday all. I certainly appreciate that. And we're going to take a look at where you can send your photos, by the way. Rowdy, thank you for sending that photo through the Weather NorCal app. You can do it just as easily. Just scroll to the very bottom. It says submit your photos here, and boom, you are sharing those photos. And before you know it, you're seeing your photo right here on Coffee with Krueger, or even on the morning update as well. Fog, well, you can see the conditions, the visibility there is down to about a quarter of a mile, give or take, depending on where you are in the valley. But there's also some low visibility for many of the higher elevations as well. There's also a dense fog advisory for southern Humboldt County and the coast from basically Klamath working its way southward to Eureka. Could see some very low visibility there as well. I want to show you an image here. This is from a high resolution satellite image here, and I just wanted to kind of show you really a cool tool right here. And you can see here all of that fog that you can see in the valley, but look at also those mountain valleys in Trinity County and in western Siskiyou County. There you can see it all right there. So what we're doing here is I'm going to take you to right before, there's yesterday morning. So you can see all of the fog right here. Right, that's western Siskiyou, northern Trinity, and there's a lot of fog working its way into those valleys as well, into parts of Humboldt County as well. And then, I mean, notice the valley. You start to see on the outer edges of that fog, as you start getting into those higher elevations above that fog, it starts to dissipate a bit. You get above that inversion. And you can see even the Redding area, parts of the Redding area, got to see some clearing, but you'll notice just east of Redding and south of Redding, that fog was fairly persistent. So places like Red Bluff, Cottonwood, Chico, all of that were fairly within that persistent fog. And then you can see overnight, look what happened when we went into the evening hours. It began to work its way northward again, and the fog reestablished. You can see right there. See those city lights? That's Redding working its way in. It looks like even trying to work its way into the city of Shasta Lake. So you can see this morning, we're still seeing a lot of that fog out there. So very interesting. It's a very high resolution image there to kind of give you an idea. So again, that dense fog advisory. Now you'll notice there's no advisories or dense fog advisories for the valley. That's just the Weather Service, I think, just at this point saying, there's been a lot of fog. You're used to it now, so just be ready for it. There you can see Highway 44, excuse me, Highway 44, Sundial Bridge Drive. We are seeing some pretty dense fog. This is one of those mornings, again, you got to take it easy. And here's the other thing. If you have headlights that are on auto, make sure you take them off of auto and put them on manual, because you don't want to be driving around in this fog without headlights. I saw that yesterday dropping my son off at school. I was heading back home, and there were plenty of cars without their headlights on. And it's like, so really, that's why it's really important. Don't just look for headlights. Look for cars without their headlights on. That's the main thing I usually look for, because that can make a big difference. But there you can see all the fog that we are seeing, pretty dense in some spots here. This, by the way, is looking out at Sawmill Lookout. This is out in the foothills in eastern Butte County, looking down into the valley. So again, you go up into the foothills, you go into the mountains, you're clear skies. And then this is looking down into the valley. You can clearly see that fog in there. So we've got more clearing again for some of us this afternoon, especially for the north end of the valley. But I think we're going to be socked in with fog a good portion of the day for many of us. A dry and stagnant weather pattern is going to continue into the weekend. Now, again, you saw that in the last image. You go above this fog into the foothills in the mountains, it's sunny and mild. And as a result, it's actually warmer in the mountains than it is in the valley. But we do have some signs of change as we go into next week. And it looks like, number one, the fog will be done with that. But number two, the drier weather will be done with that as well, because it looks like we have some wet weather in the forecast. More on that in the deeper dive. But first of all, let's take a look at Krueger's Quickcast. Now, this is just taking a quick look at the forecast for the day. Much like yesterday, upper 30s in places like Redding. So out at the Redding airport, what that's telling me is that fog is not quite as dense there, so it's allowing some of that cooler air or warmer air that we see through the day to escape and cool off a little bit here. But otherwise, you're looking at temperatures in the low 40s for the valley, teens and 20s for the higher elevations. All right, so out the door this morning, well, no surprises here. Fog for the valley, fog in Trinity County, and even western Siskiyou County, we're going to see some fog. I did take a look at some of the cameras out in Wairika. There's some fog up there as well. So again, there's going to be some of that patchy fog for some of those low-lying areas in the mountains. All you need is a little bit of a valley for some of that cooler air to sink into and get trapped in there, and you start seeing some of that fog. And we see a lot of that in those mountain valleys, especially in Trinity and western Siskiyou County, where you have those really dramatic, steep, mountain sides on either side of that valley. So we take a look at the visibility again, fairly low, pretty much anywhere you go in the valley and those mountain valleys as well. So this morning at 6 a.m., no, we don't have 10-mile visibility in Redding. The models have a difficult time. I really just want to focus on the image of the fog that you see there. So you see as we go into about 10 o'clock this morning, it's still pretty foggy, even in the Redding area. We're still seeing fog most likely for most of those mountain valleys in western Siskiyou and northern Trinity County. It's not until late in the afternoon that fog will start to dissipate. Now, by the afternoon, yes, I think parts of Redding will see some clearing, but I think this is overdoing it for Red Bluff, Willows, and Chico. I think you'll be socked in with that fog through a good portion of the day. And by the way, notice southern Humboldt County. The fog will dissipate later on today, but that comes back in along Highway 101 for tonight and even into tomorrow, and of course for the Sacramento Valley as well. So again, we talk about this ridge of high pressure, this stagnant weather pattern that's keeping us under these conditions and the foggy conditions as well. But eventually we're going to break through that pattern and see signs of change. You see that? We've got chances for rain, and some decent chances for rain at that, especially by Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. So there's a bit more confidence in the long range now. We're seeing more consistency. We're starting to see the forecast models align a little bit more. And that gives us a little bit more confidence to say, yeah, I think we could see some rain and measurable rainfall at that, even for the valley, for parts of next week. So once again, we've got that fog, especially for Red Bluff southward through the entire day. There may be some peaks of sunshine for places like Redding later this afternoon, and we take you up to the mountains. Obviously, plenty of sunshine above that fog. But where you start getting into like Weaverville, Hayfork, we're in some of those mountain valleys there, and that allows that fog to develop and kind of settle on in. Meanwhile, you've got that fog along the coast as well, that dense fog advisory for central and southern Humboldt County this morning, at least through 10 a.m. So for tonight, upper 30s for the north end of the valley, low 40s for the south end of the valley. Temperatures 20s and 30s for the higher elevations, and somewhere in the mid 40s, give or take, for the coast. And your 7-day forecast, I've just flat out put fog in there for your Chico, and I should have done that for Red Bluff as well. And honestly, that should probably even extend into Saturday too. But you get the idea. Now, for Redding, you start off with fog. Parts of Redding do get to see sunshine by the second half of the day. And by the way, even if it should clear out, you think, well, why doesn't it get warmer? Well, by that time, the angle of the sun is so low, it just doesn't have time to really warm things up for us, and that's why we stay in the 40s. Again, I've got low to mid 50s for your Friday, Saturday, but honestly, that may be closer to the upper 40s, just kind of adjusting that later. And then it looks like we do have that better chance for that rain coming into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. For the coast, we could see showers maybe as early as Monday afternoon. That's also the case inland, but I think for everyone else, including Trinity County, you're going to have to hold on until Monday night into Tuesday before you start seeing some of that rain. We take a look at Mount Shasta, also holding off until Tuesday, as well as El Turris. And the eastern mountains, you'll have to hold off until Tuesday as well. Checking in with some of you this morning, we got a couple of people, of course, earlier I showed you Lisa Stevens. She's saying good morning. We've got Barry saying good morning this morning. How are you this morning? And Malia I believe it's how you'd say that name. I apologize if I butchered your name. There you go. And I love your profile picture. It says, I can't stay home. I'm a healthcare worker. Well, good for you. That's awesome. We always love to see what our viewers are saying and what you're up to. All right, let's go ahead and get you going here with the forecast and continuing here. But first, let's take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning. And there's a look at Lake Oroville. Very dense fog out there. You can barely see the lights on the spillway there this morning. This is what it looks like out at North Forebay. You can barely see the lake and some of those hills off into the distance. We've got Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Doesn't seem to be terrible, but make sure you got those low beams on no matter how you look at it. Taking a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road, there you can see some of that fog out there. We've got those fuzzy lights because we're kind of pushing through all of those little tiny little water particles. And we take a look at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. This image is never in motion. It's not available in motion. My hair, man, I've got a haircut, I think, tomorrow. I need it. My hair is getting shaggy. Take a look at Sawmill Lookout. This is actually in eastern Butte County, looking down into the valley. Now that we're starting to see some sun come out, you can see, look what, it's kind of interesting when you look at it. First of all, you can see that big blanket of clouds over the Sacramento Valley. That's what we've seen here all week long. But look at some of, as you start getting into some of those foothill valleys, you see what's happening? You see a lot of that fog in there. And then eventually that will kind of spill out as well. We see that temperature inversion. It starts to rise a little bit. That temperature inversion is what helps to cap in that cooler air. When you have warmer air on top of the cooler air, that's known as a temperature inversion. So when that inversion, it kind of lifts a little bit sometimes through the day, and that allows some of that fog to kind of move out as well. So that's what we're looking at right there. Just kind of an interesting shot nonetheless. Taking a look at Crescent City out there this morning, and we do have, looks like some clear skies out there this morning. You can see a star off in the distance, but there certainly are some low clouds and most likely some fog out there along the coast as well. Taking a look at Bald Hill West, it's, of course, it's the way it's been all week long. You can't see anything because it's right there within the fog and in that cloud there. But Soda Ridge, not exactly the most beautiful shot there, but you can see some of the sunrise and above that fog where we're seeing those mainly sunny skies this morning. Fort Jones, hey, no surprise, once again in Scott Valley, you are socked in with that fog over there. And taking a look at Lassen Park, once again, it's that night vision. Looks like snow on top of the mountains there, but that's just what it looks like. But there is no snow on top of those mountains, and there's still, of course, some of that leftover snow on the ground over there. Hey, by the way, today is Thursday. We've got our NorCal Ag Report, sponsored by Lassen Canyon Nursery. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching NorCal Ag, sponsored by Lassen Canyon Nursery. And kind of exciting, kind of new, something we probably haven't heard a whole lot about. Right now, we've got Daniel Howe, and you have a company named Neatmon, right? So tell us about what that company is. We've got something here we'll also be talking about. So sure. What's Neatmon all about?
So Neatmon is an agriculture technology company. We produce automation and monitoring equipment for any application. Right now we're in an orchard. So in this application, we have irrigation control and feedback with a flow meter, which is monitoring this orchard behind us.
Okay.
So if you can imagine a pipe being broken in a field like this, you could lose, unchecked, you could lose up to 10,000 gallons in a week.
Wow. If
you had an open pipe. If it was even larger, let's say back at the wellhead with like a 5-inch pipe, you could lose close to 5 million gallons in as little as a day, and that going unchecked is a pretty significant challenge. So what we are addressing is providing that automated monitoring, alerting, and being able to shut it down from your phone anywhere in the world.
So is that kind of the main concept behind it? It's if something goes wrong, you will be aware of that.
Correct. And you have kind of an automated AI, if you will, that's looking at the data, looking for trends, and then as soon as something goes out of whack, you get an alert and you can shut it down or provide reports, you can do planning. So here at the farm, we're trying to do crop planning for the orchard and row crops and our lower blocks, and we needed to know how much water is available to deliver to those areas. We need to know what the temperatures are, the trends during different times of the year, so we can determine which crops to plant. and this data will provide that kind of reporting.
So it's more than just alerting you of if you're losing 1 million gallons of water, but also helping you to prepare for the season and
Correct.
Like you say, maybe this year's not a good time to grow this or that because of what we're discovering from what the data is giving us, right?
Right, exactly. And then those trends also kind of help us to determine if there's something that could have affected the yield. You can look back at it and pick that out, because oftentimes you're not on the property 24 hours a day, so something could have happened and you don't know. So going back, you can look at those trends and say, oh, there's something that happened here. We had a high crop stress and we should have applied maybe a half an inch more of water or a little bit longer of a duration of an irrigation set. We're starting to see stress here, and that may have accumulated into a lower yield. Those kinds of things.
So it sounds like a farmer or a rancher's dream, right? To
really,
have something like this, right?
Yeah, and I think we're on the brink of this technology. It's been in the market for some time, but right now we're really trying to put it into the hands of growers, ranchers, and ultimately anyone who can use this kind of monitoring technology. It doesn't necessarily need to be out here in a farm. It could be inside of a factory for energy use, water use, gas use, you name it.
So it sounds like it's just got a lot of great potential here.
Really?
And great business that you've created here. We certainly appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing what this thing does. And I mean, you look at this like, wow, what's going on here? But it's doing its thing, right?
Yep, exactly. And try and make it as innocuous as possible, make it do what it needs to, and stay as rugged and robust as possible.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and we will see you next week for another edition of NorCal Ag, sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. Once again, I want to thank Lassen County Nursery, of course, Kenny Elwood, for their support of Weather NorCal and the NorCal Ag Report. Without our sponsor dollars, we would not exist here at Weather NorCal. So if you know of any small businesses or even large businesses that are looking for ways to kind of maximize how they can get their message out to the public, of course, Weather NorCal has a lot of following, and of course, we can get that message out to a lot of people. So if you know of anybody who's looking for advertising, or you own a business and you're watching right now and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to support Weather NorCal, and I'd like to see if I can get some advertising out there as well, you can contact me. Just go to the contact section at the website, and you can contact me, and I will be glad to talk to you about all of the different options out there as well. So again, thanks to Lassen County Nursery for your support, and I want to thank Wind River Resort and Casino for their support of Coffee with Krueger. They've been the sponsor of Coffee with Krueger since day one. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, let's get into that forecast here. So this is an image I want to show you here from Rowdy Kelly. Yesterday he was talking about sunny skies in McKinleyville in the morning. They were above the fog yesterday, and that's why they got to see some fog out there along the coast. By the way, you can share your photos just like Rowdy did from the free Weather NorCal app from your iPhone and from your Android, so be sure to check that out. Here's a look at your weather headlines. It looks like a morning valley fog with areas of clearing. It's kind of a rinse and repeat type of forecast. This dry and stagnant pattern is going to continue through the weekend with sunny and mild conditions in the mountains above that fog, but there are signs of change as we go into next week, and we're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast. But before we get to that, before we get into our deeper dive, let's go to our sponsor, Shasta Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
All right, once again, I want to thank Shasta Hearing Aids for being the sponsor of the deeper dive forecast. So let's get you right into it, shall we? The temperature is upper 30s, low 40s, a little bit cooler, just like yesterday morning for Redding, but definitely a bit more mild as you head south of that, a little bit more in the way of that dense fog. Teens and 20. Look at El Turris, you're at 19 degrees. No fog there. You're just looking at, of course, the clear and cold conditions, as well as Bernie and Susanville at about 30, 28 degrees for Wairika, and you've got those 40s out along the coast. Visibility, this map doesn't do the greatest job showing where most of that fog is, but we basically got fog all in the Sacramento Valley. We've got fog for many of these mountain valleys for Trinity, western Siskiyou County, and we're also seeing some pretty dense fog down into parts of southern Humboldt County as well, mainly along that Highway 101 corridor. So those are the main areas you need to watch out for if you're going to be traveling in those areas. Low beams, take it nice and slow. And make sure you have those, especially as the sun comes up and you get more of that daylight, Make sure you take your lights off of auto and actually put your lights on. You want people to be able to see you, don't you? All right, so there you can see your visibility this morning, it's fairly low. Now, just like the last few days, the Redding area, especially kind of on the outer kind of perimeter of that fog, we start to see kind of shrink a little bit, but it kind of stays this little skinny area of fog that stays along I-5 there, and then of course southward into Red Bluff, Willows, and Chico. Forecast models tend to have a hard time with fog, so just kind of give you an idea. I don't think it's going to quite clear out like what you're seeing here. I still think there will be a little sliver of fog in the Redding area down into Red Bluff, and then it will basically be this little skinny area of fog and then just kind of expand into all of the valley, going into Chico, Willows, and we'll probably start to see late in the afternoon some of the fog out towards, say, Scott Valley, western Siskiyou County, even parts of northern Trinity County, seeing that fog dissipate. We'll see the fog dissipate probably also into southern Humboldt County, but as we go into this evening and tonight, much like what we saw yesterday, I was picking my son up from alpine practice yesterday, and as we were driving back home, it was about 5:30 in the evening. The fog was already beginning to come in. When I went to go pick him up, no fog. But when I was starting to drive back, the fog was starting to kind of roll itself back on in. So it doesn't take long for that fog to redevelop as we go into this evening, tonight, tomorrow morning. There you see Friday morning, there's that fog returning into the valley. And I think once again, some fog out towards southern Humboldt, your typical spots in western Siskiyou and into Trinity County as well. And then we go into Friday afternoon, same song and dance, and that may even go into your Saturday as well. We talk about the winds because the winds, if we can get those winds to pick up, we can scour out the fog. But look at Thursday morning, look at Friday morning. You're still looking at some fairly calm winds in those morning hours, and that's the still, calm air that you need for the fog to really thrive. And unfortunately, we are under conditions where that fog is really thriving. And that'll probably continue into your Saturday morning. Look at Saturday morning at 8 a.m. There you still have a lot of those calm conditions out there. Once again, thanks to this ridge of high pressure, that sinking air, and that is, of course, what's creating a lot of that that stagnant weather pattern. It's also a blocking ridge of high pressure, meaning any storms that are heading our way are just being pushed up to the north into the Pacific Northwest and to Canada, and we are left with, other than the mist and drizzle, dry conditions, especially as you get above that fog. So the persistent ridge of high pressure is really what's been helping with that fog development here really for the last couple of weeks. But what we're starting to see happen as we go into Friday through the weekend, that ridge starts to shift off to the east. So Saturday, it's still in place. We still may see some of that fog, but what we've got here is all of this energy. This is finally breaking through that ridge of high pressure, and what we're going to start to see happen is some change. I think Monday is going to be that transition from the foggy conditions and dry conditions to the cooler and wetter conditions. You can still see maybe a little bit of instability that could produce a few showers out towards the north coast late in the day Monday. But then we're going to see more of what we call a zonal flow type pattern. And this is essentially just opening up the floodgates. I shouldn't use the word flood because we're not going to see flooding, but essentially we're opening the door for these storms that are off over the Pacific to come on in. We're saying, hey, come on over, give us some rainfall. And that's going to be the case here through next week. The timing, how much rainfall we get out of this, I'm not going to go into that. But we are looking at off and on chances of rain starting as early as Monday evening through all of next week. Some days heavier rain than others. And of course, the amount of rainfall is something I'm not going to, it really, I'm just going to say this. If you see, especially this far out, and especially there's still some uncertainty as far as the overall timing and intensity, to see and for any meteorologist to show you what those rainfall totals are looking like and to show you numbers is a big disservice in my opinion, because you don't want to give anybody sense of false hope or even sense of false non-hope, right? Because again, long-range forecast models, especially in our area, we have such a diverse topography that the forecast models have a really difficult time, even in the short range, predicting how much rain or even snow we're going to see. So a lot of times to show those numbers this far out is a major disservice. And that's why I typically don't show those to you, because I just don't want to give you any false hope. But what we're looking at here is more consistency in the long-range forecast model. So we're a lot more confident that, yes, we are going to see some wet weather. And the Climate Prediction Center is picking up on that. As you can see, some of the darker shades of green indicating better chances of above normal rainfall. Now keep in mind, this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a ton of rain. It's just saying that we could see near or even slightly above seasonal averages. Now we take a look at the lake levels, and you can see here that we are and have dropped below 100% out towards Lake Oroville over the last week or so. Is that an area of concern? No. We're not in a drought yet, folks. In fact, I should have probably pulled this in the map system here, but we're not under any kind of drought. You look at all of Northern California and you look at the drought monitor, there's no yellows or anything of that nature showing any kind of drought. If we were to continue to see dry conditions for the rest of the month, yeah, sure, we'd be concerned because the amount of rain and snow that we've seen hasn't been significant at all, but we are seeing signs of change for next week. By the way, there is a beach hazard statement for the coast here for today. You've got that risk for sneaker waves. Sneaker waves is just that inundation of water that can really take you by surprise, sweep you under your feet, whether you're just kind of hanging out on the shore or if you're rock hopping. That can also be a very dangerous situation as well, so just be aware of that. There you can see the wave heights are actually retreating though as we do go into your Friday, so that certainly is some good news and should help with those sneaker waves. There's a look at your winds from the north at about 5 to 15 knots. Waves from the west at 8 feet at about 15 seconds. And there are no advisories. All right, here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We're going to take a look at Trinity County here for today. And there you can see, to start things off at least, right? But there you can see we got the dry conditions. And then there's the rain coming in for Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, I should probably have put in here too morning fog for Thursday, Friday, probably even into at least the first half of the weekend, but you get the idea. We're just going to see more of the same as we progress over the next few days. Low 50s out towards Forest Glen, Ruth about 57, Hayfork about 54 for your daytime high. Now for the North Coast, what you'll notice here on Monday, I do have a chance for showers, probably not as far south as, say, Garberville. You're probably going to have to hold off until Monday night and into Tuesday. But as you head out to Ferndale, Fortuna, Rio Dell, notice on Monday you've got some showers coming in there, as well as Tuesday. Tuesday, of those 3 days, Monday through Wednesday, Tuesday at this point looks to be the heavier area of rain or day of rain. 62 degrees out towards Blue Lake, 60 in Hoopa, 62 degrees for Willow Creek. Out in Hoopa, there you can see on Monday, yeah, there's Monday, a chance for those showers coming in, as well as Tuesday. Wednesday, Smith River, 64, 58 degrees for Klamath, and 56 degrees for Gasky. Same story for Crescent City. It's Monday. You can see a chance for showers. But for Siskiyou County, we'll wait till Monday night into Tuesday with that chance for rain there. Once again, much like what we've seen here, a lot of these mountain valleys here, especially in western Siskiyou County, are going to see fog over the next few mornings. Although out towards Wairika, we have seen some fog there in the last few mornings as well. Scott Valley, you're sucked in with that fog here this morning. That should burn off later this afternoon, but it's been hard pressed, hasn't it? 57 degrees for Fort Jones. So I've got the sunny skies there. But keep in mind, that may be pretty foggy here through a good portion of the day. All right, we take a look at your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast for central and eastern Siskiyou County. You've got sunny skies there, 59 degrees for Tennant and 61 degrees out in Mount Shasta City. Above the fog in Modoc County, you're looking at mainly sunny skies. Temperatures low 60s through Saturday, and then there's a chance for showers by next Tuesday and Wednesday. For the eastern mountains, most of you will be above that fog as well, although some of those low-lying areas may see some fog this morning, but burn off pretty quickly here as we go into the afternoon. There's a look at your 7-day forecast for Lassen Park and for Chester. You're looking at temperatures in the 50s for Lassen Park and low 60s out in Chester. Take you down to the south, Paradise, a high of 59. You'll be above that fog, as well as Susanville. So if you're looking to escape the fog, just go up a little bit higher in elevation, and before you know it, you will be under those sunny skies. Before you know it, temperature of 44 degrees out in Hamilton City. Not sunny there, looking at plenty of fog throughout the day today. Take a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico. Fog today, tomorrow, and I really should have put fog in there for Saturday as well, but you get the idea. That fog will persist through at least the first half of the weekend, and then chances for showers coming in by around Tuesday of next week. Temperatures for the north end of the valley Notice Lakehead, it's actually warmer. Notice places like the city of Shasta Lake, it's warmer because you're going to see more sunshine throughout the day. There you can see out towards Palisadro about 50, 49 degrees in Cottonwood, and Whiskeytown about 61. Whiskeytown also seeing more sunshine. So here's your 7-day forecast for Redding, 49 for today. And you know, the thing is, there's a very good chance we could see some upper 40s again for Friday and even Saturday. But it's just one of those things where we have to kind of adjust it day by day. But overall, the signs of change are coming, but it's not until next week that we will see that, with temperatures in the mid 50s for Tuesday, Wednesday. And by the way, you know, I'm talking about the rainfall making its way back in here. High snow levels. This is not the type of snow. In fact, I was just talking to my son's coach for Alpine. They just got a coach, by the way, for Shasta High School. There was a concern for a while that we weren't going to have, they couldn't find a coach. Nobody was interested, apparently, in coaching the Alpine team. So they didn't have anybody. But they finally got someone. Very excited about that. So I was talking to the coach yesterday, and we were talking about the rain and snow. And I said, yeah, we've got some rain coming in at the end of the month, but unfortunately, it's warm rain. So we're not going to see much in the way of snow up towards the ski park. That doesn't mean we won't see any. But even if we do see any, it'll be kind of that slushy snow. It'll be fairly wet, and probably it's not going to be enough to really make a dent in the fact that there's no snow up there, at least much of a dent. So I would not anticipate that. Maybe some signs toward the end of the month. Maybe some times toward the end of the month we could see some more significant snow on Mount Shasta, but it's not looking, the confidence in that is not that high right now. So we shall see in that. We have got a few more people that have checked in this morning. Oh, look at this. I always love to hear these. Good morning, Mike. We always enjoy your forecast. You are go-to for information. Well, thank you, Becky. I appreciate that. And I love the people who stay on their go-to. You know, Weather NorCal, it's all about local weather, right? You don't have to worry about sifting through the news or anything like that. Just weather. Just come here and get the weather. Curtis Brown saying, good morning, Mike. Good to hear that the end of fog is near. Yeah, I think a lot of us are. This is kind of depressing. You know, if you live in the Pacific Northwest, they're used to this. But us, it can have a little psychological impact, right? I know for me, I've been kind of lazy. I usually like to try to get out and exercise. I've been having a hard time motivating myself getting out there to exercise. Hello from Trinidad, clear enough to see the moon this morning. Well, that's awesome. Let's take a look at what it looks like in Jackie's neighborhood. Number one, look at the elk. How cool is that? But it looks like there is some kind of hard to see in the night vision type here that we're seeing. But there is, let me see if I can change that. I know I can. I think I can in the settings. Let me see here. Let's go into settings and let's see if I can change. Camera name, I think I can. I guess I'll have to kind of play around with it. Anti-flicker. Oh, here we go. Let's just do color. There it is. Look at that. So now we can see better as far as if there's any fog or anything out there like that right now. Let's get out of settings. Beautiful. First of all, yeah, again, look at the elk. They are hanging out. You know, we talk about the fact that it's called elk country. It's living up to its name today, but you can kind of look off in the distance. Now, behind those mountains, if I'm not mistaken, not too far from that is the ocean. So typically you can kind of see the fog kind of hugging up and banking up against those mountains and trying to roll over those mountains sometimes. But what we're seeing here is fairly clear skies this morning in Trinidad. So, of course, Jackie, if I'm not mistaken, Jackie, I think you are south of this location. But looks like even in Trinidad, you are seeing some of those clear skies as well. So absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Jackie, for checking in. We've also got Tracy Sackett this morning. She's checking in this morning saying, thank you, Mike. Hope everyone has a great day. Well, thank you. Thank you all for checking in and chiming in this morning. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning. I hope you get out there and enjoy this, well, if you're in the mountains above the fog, beautiful day. But if not, maybe try to get out, go for a walk, try to get out some exercise, kind of motivate yourself in these gray days. By the way, kind of a fun little fact. When we have good visibility, but the clouds are just above us, that's actually not fog. That's actually what's just known as a stratus deck. However, it's when that makes its way to the surface and we see much lower visibility, that's when it's known as fog. Fun little fact of the day here. I can maybe try to do one of those once a day, but we'll see. In the meantime, you have yourselves an amazing day. I'm going to take you back to, I mean, who doesn't like to check out the elk? That's always fun. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning for your Friday edition of Coffee with Krueger. Have a great day, everyone.